So we have a fun little update before we start this episode. This week, the Mark Anthony Group, the company behind category-defining beverages like White Claw and Mike's Hard Lemonade, announced its acquisition of the Finnish Long Drink. Long Drink has built itself into one of the fastest-growing players in the spirits-based segment, reaching roughly 3.3 million 9-liter cases last year alone, and more than tripling in size since 2022. Though the company is backed by celebrity investors like Miles Teller, Ricky Fowler, and Kygo, it's still maintained a product-focused identity and clear hero SKUs. With this new acquisition and Mark Anthony Group's goal of expansion throughout North America, you can now expect to see this beverage everywhere. So we decided that it was time to share some of the behind the scenes of who built this company and who's been evangelizing it. Every great brand has them. The person who found it before anybody else, who's told all their friends, who maybe has a little bit too much of it in their pantry, their freezer, their fridge, or their medicine cabinet.
We're talking about the fans. On this show, we're going to be sitting down with them and then turning around and talking to the founders behind some of our favorite brands. We're going to ask them, how does this fandom actually align with, or maybe even depart from, the story that they've told themselves about their own brand success?
I'm Nate Rosen.
And I'm Jenna Mofspitz, and we're Express Checkout, the startup media company covering the newest stories and trends behind the food, drinks, and wellness products that we buy.
This is Brand's Biggest Fan, where we view brands through two lenses, from the people who built them and the consumers who love them. Let's get into it. So today we have a special guest on Brand's Biggest Fan, Evan Burns, co-founder of Long Drink, one of the fastest growing RTDs in the market. Long Drink, for those who don't know, is a delicious sparkling beverage made with gin, grapefruit soda, and juniper berries, with its origins in the 1952 Helsinki Olympics. Evan, welcome.
I've heard and seen some of the cool things you guys have done, so this should be fun.
The one piece worth adding to your intro too is that Long Drink is a category of its own. A Finnish beverage that, in the same way I've heard you say this on podcasts before, in the same way we say like Coca-Cola and are referring to a brand, when people say Long Drink, they are referring to like a brand and the drink inside of it. It's its own category, and yet it kind of sits within ready to drinks, which we will get into a little bit more later. But yeah, do you want to give a quick background on how you got started with this brand?
Yeah, I'd love to. And Nate give a very accurate description of what it is. So I'll just say it again. But you know, the Finnish government for the 1952 Olympics commissioned the creation of a drink because Finns like to drink. Supposedly they drink more than Russians per capita. I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what the lore is. But they wanted a drink to be able to serve to all the guests that came from around the world for the Helsinki Olympics. And so they created this thing called Long Drink. The people liked it enough where they kept making. The government continued to have this made as a monopoly for decades until it became one of the biggest alcohol brands in the country. And then when they joined the European Common Market, they opened it to competition. So now if you go to Finland, it's actually its own category. It's like legally its own category. There's a beer aisle, a wine aisle, a spirits aisle, and a long drink aisle with many brands of long drink. And so the origin of the Finnish long drink in America is I met a few of these guys from Finland that were studying abroad in the US a long time ago, and we became friends and ended up doing a few trips around the US with our friend groups. And when it was finally time for them to go back to Finland, they said, next time you're in Europe, come and visit. I'm like, hey, that sounds super fun to like go to a country I've never been to, have locals show you around, do the cool stuff. So eventually we did, and I show up in Finland, and they really were so thoughtful and had kind of the red carpet treatment of cool Finnish experiences. But I didn't expect what they were going to be. It was things like eating reindeer, which, like, I'm from rural Indiana. Like, I've had deer, and I didn't know reindeer was a real thing besides deer. It was. And so we're eating venison. We are doing karaoke, which is, like, again, comically huge in Finland, is to drink a lot and do karaoke. So that's fun.
Fascinating.
Yeah, wouldn't have guessed. The biggest thing, though, is sauna. So there are more saunas in Finland than there are cars. And it was the only word from Finnish we use in the English language, like sauna is a Finnish word. And so they sauna all the time. Unlike this weird sauna trend in the US where we all think it's like about the health and all that, which it is, they drink when they sauna if they're doing it in the evening and with friends. So they're drinking. And the one thing, all those things I mentioned, whether they were eating Finnish foods like reindeer, doing karaoke, doing sauna, they're all drinking long drinks. I'm like, this stuff tastes awesome. People say it tastes like a Fresca or citrus soda type of thing, citrus spritz. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, what's the story? And they told me that story made for the Olympics. It's huge there now. And so long story short, after we became more time passed, we're like, why don't we bring this to the US? What do we Americans love? We love finding foods from other cultures, bringing them here, and telling our friends and family about it. So we're like, that's a really cool story. Let's do it. So we created the Finnish long drink and launched it in 2018. I guess it's called an RTD. Jenna, you were making a joke about the 3-tier system earlier. Like, we didn't even know what the 3-tier system was. We didn't know what RTDs were. We're like, hey, there's just this huge thing in Finland that people love. It's its own category. Let's launch it and see if they like it here. So we had to learn what the 3-tier system was. That was a kick in the
So
face.
sorry.
Can you give like a 1-sentence description to people who might not know what the 3-tier system
Yeah, the
is?
3-tier system in alcohol means that you cannot sell to consumers. So as a consumer, like, think about it, you can't go online and order tequila. You can't go online and order vodka from the actual brand or Amazon. You have to order it from a retailer. That's the way it's been set up since Prohibition. So we have to sell to a distributor who then sells it and then delivers it to the retailer, like a Walmart or a Whole Foods or any independent stores or 7-Eleven. So it's a very unique system. It has some really cool benefits, but it is something that has to be navigated in a very specific way.
Well, we wanted to get into the conversation we had with your super fan, DJ, who is the self-proclaimed biggest fan of long drink.
We are on the line with DJ, who is the biggest fan of the Finnish drink, long drink. Welcome, DJ.
Hello, hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Relative age is 49 years old, relatively speaking. I turned 50 in February. Originally from Rochester, New York, I have moved all over the country and currently live in Sacramento, California, the capital. I have 4 kids and 1 wife. Kids are 15, 13, and then we have 10-year-old twins. My day job is a freelance writer. I write for software companies, and I'm an extrovert.
And it shows. You are certifiably Long Drink's biggest fan.
Yeah.
I really do think we can cross-check the receipts on that one. That is a hobby of yours, I would say. Would love for you to walk us through what your typical grocery haul looks like. How often are you going? What stores do you frequent? And why?
All right, so I think I mentioned we have a family. We have 4 kids. We have a family of 6. And all of these pets. I do a lot of the pet shopping for food and stuff on Chewy, so that's handled that way. Sometimes nice. Costco. We do have a premium membership at Costco, and I go there frequently. And really, it depends. It's not like a set schedule. My go-to about a half mile from my house is Whole Foods. It's my favorite. Okay. I just love how they display things. I grew up, I mentioned to you earlier, in Rochester, New York, the home of Wegmans. Mm-hmm. And Wegmans to me is just the OG. It's like the best of the best. It's a destination. We also have a local, Rayleigh's is a big brand. They have Rayleigh's, Bel Air, and Nob Hill. So Bel Air is the one that's right near us. I go there on occasion. I occasionally go to Sprouts, which is also one of my absolute favorites, but it's a little bit further away. So that's more of a, if we're in the area, go to Sprouts. And the one last thing I'll say about Costco is we definitely, because we have such a big family, like we're right now we have boys that are going through milk like nobody's business. So we buy like Costco milk by the 6-pack, like 2-3 packs.
Oh wow!
There. Yeah,
okay.
and we go through it.
Well, since you're Long Drink's biggest fan, we're curious, how'd you first discover the brand and what made you decide to get into it?
First discovered by my wife. I have to give her full credit. So we went to Costco. She found it. We drank it. We was like, this is pretty darn good. And then for anybody that ever shops at Costco, you know this. As soon as you find the product that you absolutely love, Costco gets rid of it. I love Costco to death, but their rotation on products sometimes is mind-boggling. And so Long Drink's gone for like a year. And then maybe 2.5 years ago, my wife goes to Costco again, because obviously we go all the time. And she discovers, she brings it home and go, oh my God, this is really amazing. This is like a really, really good drink. And it's like 5.5% alcohol. It's very refreshing. Good for summer, good for winter, good for grilling, whatever the case is. So she brings this home, and I said, and I was like, I got to create some Instagram account around this. And so I created some Instagram account called Long Drink Lovers. I started just posting pictures of Long Drink, and I said to people, if you find Long Drink, find a deal on a Long Drink, like send it to me and I'll post a picture. So I started doing that, and I would tag Long Drink, and it wasn't really a big deal. And then one day they reached out to me on DM and said, hey, we're starting an ambassador program. Would you like to be part of it? Which I said, heck yeah, of course. So they started, they have this whole community. This may or may not surprise you. I am by far the oldest person in the Long Drink community. I am by far the most active person in the Long Drink community. So I think it's my 3rd year now. I've entered my 3rd year of being this ambassador. I tell everybody I can. And I get to the point now where people just text me pictures or like, look where I had somebody a friend of mine was in Florence, Italy, last week, and she texted me a picture of a sign of long drink.
You're saying you're such a fan of anything that you want to scream from the rooftops about any brand. Like, what was it about long drink that made you go so all in on it?
Yeah, I think part of it is because it's something that my demographic, my age group, the people that I know would love. You guys, I'm sure, have talked about this before. There's like a little bit of a switch away from different industries, and there's obviously the canned alcoholic beverage industry is growing. Wine is dipping. Younger people aren't drinking beer to the same level. I just know that my friends around me would love it. I don't know. There was something about it that I just, I liked the vibe. Right? I like the
vibe.
yeah, I like the idea behind this, and they've they're doing some fun, cool marketing, interesting, and I like all that stuff.
So the actual vibe and story of the brand resonated with you. It wasn't just the product.
I think the connection to Finland. I mean, I don't know. My wife is Norwegian, so there's some Scandinavian connection there.
Yeah.
The idea of saunas, and we can talk about this whole campaign they did around the director of sweat equity. But I think that angle and the fact that like they just kind of have fun in their marketing, and I just think that's how it should be. And I like, Miles Teller is the other guy. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Miles Teller is another brand ambassador. They like kind of got a nice diverse group of people to support the brand. And I think that's kind of neat too.
What do you think could make the brand better in your eyes?
I've said this to them directly. So what I'm going to share with you now, this isn't like breaking news by any means, but I think they really are trying to target a younger audience, which I understand, especially because younger people are consuming more of this type of product. They're consuming less beer, less wine. They're not actually drinking as much, but when they are drinking, they're drinking more canned beverages. But I also think the missed opportunity is I'm 49, 50 years old. Like I have everybody that's come up to, I have literally the tagline on Long Drink Lovers on the Instagram handle says, the only people that don't love long drink are those who haven't tried it. And I cannot tell you, literally there's been one person over the 3 years that I've watched try long drink that is my age that has taken a sip and gone, this is okay. Most people go, oh my God, this is great. I don't even like gin, but I love this. Or I don't even like grapefruit and this tastes amazing. Oh my God, this is, oh my God. And then people quickly turn into long drink lovers or fans of. But I think that's to me, that's the missed opportunity. Like, I don't think they are leveraging this group. So I think that's a huge missed opportunity for them.
What are your supporting points? Why do people your age need to be exposed to long drink? And why do you think this is such a prime market that they're missing?
I think for a few reasons. One, the price point is high. They come in, they come in other packs now, but the general one is a 6-pack. And unless it's on sale, that 6-pack is $13.99. So you're talking about over $2 per can. That's expensive, right? And you go to a bar and get it, it's $4 or $5. So that's expensive. And the average younger person, maybe it's different now, but I would rather get a 30-pack of Coors Light for $10. Very different drink, obviously. So I think part of it is that my age group can afford it generally, and I'm making some assumptions here, right? Generally, people in their 40s and 50s have more discretionary income. I also think people my age do a lot more casual drinking at parties, as opposed to we're not binge drinking. I mean, not always, winky wink, but we're not binge drinking. So we're having 2 or 3 long drink, or we're having a long drink while we're grilling. My point is you can have a few and not come home and be hungover the next day.
That makes a lot of sense. I also think there's something to be said for, you were describing like the reason that you were so attracted to long drink, partly other than the product, was the vibe. And I think we see a lot of brands try and put on a cool, fun, whatever vibe for a Gen Z audience. And we don't see as much like cool, fun marketing targeted to an older demographic. I don't know why we've decided that older demographics don't deserve hilarious marketing.
Right.
It is usually a little more sterile, I would say. I think these like fun, silly, like we use the term unhinged a lot to describe some of the marketing of these brands that are targeting Gen Z. Those brands usually aren't targeting an older audience, and I don't really know why. And maybe there is a gap.
I mean, I'd argue we are more fun because we've been there. We've done the partying in college and done all of these different things. And now we're at a different phase. Like, people my age, and not everybody, but if you have kids, your kids are in elementary, middle, high school, college, like we're at a point in our life, we're just we're just trying to live life. We're just enjoying life. And we're not as worried about how people view us. Clearly, I'm wearing a robe and on a podcast. Like, I don't care anymore to that level. So I do think I think it's a miss. Whether it's intentional or not is a whole nother thing, but I do think it's a miss.
I think that is such an interesting take. And it's also probably accurate that more people in your demographic are drinking more casually. We know there's data on younger demographics just not drinking as much, but I kind of like in my anecdata would be that it's just polarized more. Like there's more binge drinking and more people who don't drink at all, and the middle got lost. And I think that the older generation that is still partaking in the middle. It was so fun to have you on, DJ. We are so excited to share some of your thoughts with the Long Drink team and have them on to wrap up this episode. Any final words for us?
Follow and subscribe, right? Long Drink Lovers.
Like and follow and subscribe to Long Drink Lovers. You're gonna get the
smash
best
the subscribe. Yeah.
Love that.
But truly, I would say, like, the tagline I mentioned a couple times, like, if you've never, like, the only people that don't love Long Drink are those that haven't tried it. I challenge those that are listening or watching right now to record yourself taking your first sip of Long Drink with your true reaction and tagging me or sending it to me or whatever, and I will repost it and reshare it. And I can almost guarantee that you will love it.
And with that, we're out. I'm curious how you, when you were first creating Long Drink, bringing it to the US, were thinking about who you were targeting and where DJ kind of fits into that.
First of all, DJ, yes, definitely a super fan of the brand, and the marketing team sounds like they're in close communication with him, and it's really cool what he's done. And so we're always thankful for people that like the brand, because we were just fans. Like I didn't invent Long Drink. I was like a fan myself. Like I wish we had that in the US. I think people would like it. And we weren't even driven by a business or money motive to start it. We're just like, this is cool. It's this great story that nobody knows about. Finns drink this more per capita than the Irish do of Guinness. Like, what a cool thing to do in the U.S. That this lore, this story is real. So I love it. I love that DJ cares so much, and we see his stuff. The thing that really surprises me, to get to your question, Jen, is like I think everybody thought this would be like for Gen Z or college or women or whatever, because that's often true of RTD seltzers. The surprising fact is it's been drank in America much like in Finland, where it's everybody. Like in Finland, it looks like light beer, where younger people, older people, men, women, all different ethnic backgrounds, all different socioeconomic income levels are drinking this as a kind of a go-to daily drinker. We got some post a couple months ago of a 90-year-old grandmother had like a Long Drink themed birthday party. I'm like, this is great. And so we're just like, this is so funny.
That's so sweet.
I know, right? And so we just love these things. And in Athens, Georgia, UGA, when they turn 21, there's big dress up things. So you can kind of buy these costumes, I guess. And there's a Long Drink 21, where the 2 is obviously 2 and the 1 is a long drink. So that kind of happened organically. So for us, when we think about marketing, it's instead of us trying to shove a brand on people's throats with ads and billboards and all that, it's about how do you shepherd a community and support your fans. Like that's really what we spend most time caring about, since we are indeed the fans ourselves. We just brought this thing that's been around forever to America.
I mean, obviously a huge piece of this is the product itself, and people try it. And as DJ says, the second you try it, you have to love it. And if if you don't love it, it's because you haven't tried it, is what he says. So the product itself is playing a big role here. But I know even when you were just introducing the brand, like there's so much to this brand that actually makes it a lot more than a beverage brand. It's more about almost bringing another culture to the US. And I would argue a relatively niche culture from a country with a small population, and people don't know much about Finnish culture. How much do you think fans latch on more because of this larger storytelling and larger cultural narrative, as opposed to like if you just had this amazing product?
It's a really good question. For all the listeners, I would say, if you were marketing Long Drink, how would you even start? Because what the heck's a Long Drink? It's not a seltzer. It's not a beer. It's its own new thing. It'd be like if you're the first person to ever bring tequila to America, how do you start? Well, tequila is tequila. So it's a very big challenge for us to think about how to get that attention. And so, as DJ said, if you don't like it, you haven't tried it. Our biggest expenditure on the marketing is in trial, whether it's in grocery, whether it's in bars, festivals, you name it, because it's a plus 91 net promoter score. So it's just about getting people to crack the can and try it. And we try not to oversell them on it. Like if we say it's gin, 4/5 of people say, I don't want to try it, right? If we say it's a seltzer, be like, I don't need another seltzer. If we say it's spirit-based, be like, okay, everybody else says that. If we say it's a flavor, like, oh, fine, another flavor. Everybody's doing flavors. We just try to create curiosity. And so the best way is to try to use these little stories. Oh, it's one of the biggest drinks in alcohol. They drink more long drink than the Irish do of Guinness. Or, the story created for the Olympics, and this is a category now. We launched our own version in the US. We use these little quips to try to create curiosity. So they'll try it. And then once they try it, they're going to 91% chance they like it. And then they get their own story to tell their friends. There's that transferability. And you see all these, there's like folks like DJ where they've told so many of their friends about it. Like, he's like, okay, people are texting him all the time. Oh, there's a new store that has long drink, or see this new post I saw. So I would say the vast majority of the growth of the brand really is from people trying it because they're curious and then advocating to their friends and family. You ask most people how they found it. They're like, either I found it in a bar, or one of my friends is a super fan and they were like, you have to try this, and made me try it.
I think a lot of other canned beverages are doing a lot of legwork to also just introduce that option to consumers beyond beer, beyond wine, beyond traditional spirits and cocktails. Are you pushing more on-prem or retail right now? Because when you're describing the sampling opportunities, it seems like it's a real mixture of everything currently.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Nate. The thing that we're trying to do, and this is what I'm going to say is really ambitious, and Jenna, you actually mentioned earlier, is pretend like we're Coca-Cola. Like Coca-Cola won because they were available everywhere. It's either I'll have Coke and like, here you go, or you say I'll have Coke and they're like, oh, is Pepsi okay? Like, it's like they win the game of everywhere. And so for us, like, we're certainly not there, but the fans that like it, there's pockets in the country where we are like that, right? Like in Athens, Georgia, Reno, Nevada, most of Michigan, where you go anywhere, you go to a little dive bar, you can go to a fancy restaurant, you go to a hole-in-the-wall gas station, like it's everywhere. The pockets where we've gotten distribution to be everywhere, the brand is a top 5 or 6 volume brand. I'm not talking about artists, about anything.
Yeah.
There are chains out there where we are in certain states where we are 15, 20% of volume in RTD and number 1 or number 2 in alcohol revenue. It shows when we do our job and make it readily available where it can be your go-to drink, then the volume is nuts. So Coke is a great inspiration for that. I think Modelo is a great inspiration for that. I think that Tito's a great inspiration for that. People say like, Tito's and vodka because they mean to say Tito's and soda, but it's just it's so out there.
Right.
But if you want to say Tito's and soda and they say, oh, we don't have that, and then you go ask for it the next one, they don't have that, you probably don't ask it at the third place.
Right.
So the game for us is you have to scale on premise and off premise and awareness at the same time. You have to have all three. And if you don't have wide distribution, New York's a great example. We don't have it readily available in New York yet. It's like 3 or 4% of the bars that have it. So it's a cool treasure hunt when you find it, but
Right.
you're not going to ask for it. I own the brand, and I don't even ask for it half the time. I already know. It's a much different thing. So that is the big push for us. And I would challenge a lot of brands to where they want to innovate a lot. They want to do a lot of cool marketing. And I agree, those are cool. But if you do cool marketing, do innovation, and it's not where people already go and shop the
Right.
innovation, it doesn't matter.
Right. I mean, that's how a lot of these other canned products I think are winning, especially here in New York. Like they're everywhere. Like
But
you
Surfside
can't.
is a great example. Surfside
Yeah.
is totally won the Northeast corridor. Like everywhere you go,
God.
like you walk in, like, do you want a Surfside?
During the marathon, I mean, they were just handing them out
Mm-hmm.
like everywhere. I think I would have rather had a long drink. That sounds a little bit more refreshing.
I would have also rather you had a long drink.
Yeah, I know. We recently saw that you did around 3 million cases in 2025, up 22% from last year. That's impressive growth. How are you thinking about maintaining that momentum as you continue to scale? Is it still just distribution and
Yeah, it is. I appreciate the compliment. We think it could be a lot more because going back to the pockets where we've done a good job and gotten it readily available and visible, where you walk in, it's kind of in all the right places. Again, think about any light beer or something like that. The volume is just so big. And so for us, we do think there's the ability to build with this brand, a 30, 40, 50 million case brand over time. And also because people stick with it. We've been around for 7 years in those pockets. People are still drinking the same thing they were 5, 6, 7 years ago. So we think it's possible. It is extremely difficult and painful to pull that off. So it's about driving the availability, the visibility, and also the awareness. And like I said a few minutes ago, you have to do all three at the same time. And so there's pockets we're doing it, and so we're just trying to get those pockets bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, again, New York City, we just haven't tackled it yet. It's a lot to do. There's finite resources. We'll get there eventually, but we're just not there yet. So I think there'll be a world where we actually accelerate on growth rate as we get to some of the bigger states, like when we really pop off in New York and New Jersey, like Surfside has. I think that'll be a massive growth rate. It'll be 4, 5, 6x in those states.
I was thinking a lot about, as you were talking, exactly what you just said, like balancing accessibility and availability with awareness.
Yeah.
Because I do think there's this point where you can actually be available in too many places where you don't yet have awareness, and then velocity struggles. So this like lofty goal of we want to be everywhere also, as you know, has to be maintained by maintaining awareness and therefore like maintaining velocity. So back to this awareness piece of things, you have a pretty killer lineup of celebrities who are involved in some way. I know Nate mentioned them at the intro, but as a refresh, like Miles Teller is one of the biggest advocates and investors of the brand. How are you kind of balancing using a celebrity partnership in some way to advocate for the brand versus these like grassroots super fans who are organically talking about the brand? What does that like marketing push and pull look like?
People always assume that we like went and wanted to have all these celebrities involved because celebrities are such a big part of CPG these days. We actually didn't. We very intentionally, when we started the business, said we did not want to do that. We did not want to be a celebrity brand. Just like the super fans, they came to us. Just like us. The one thing that's constant between the founders, the super fans, and the investors is we all just like the brand and want to be part of it. And I wanted to have it across the US. So Miles Teller is a great example. Like the liquid, found it in New York in a liquor store, was like, I was having it shipped out to LA where he lived, well before we were in anywhere in California. Was like, I love it, wants to get involved. We had some mutual connections. This is super early, like in the first year. And we're like, great. Like, he's like, I don't want to be the face of this. He's like, I want to be somebody that helps advance this story and how cool this is. And we're like, okay, that sounds exactly what we want. There's this 70-year-old story in history. Let's advance that together. And then every other quote unquote celebrity that's involved came out of just people liking the brand. Some of them were Miles's friends. Kygo's manager, whose name is also Miles, was at Miles Teller's wedding. And they were drinking long drink. And I believe Kygo was there too. I sometimes forget the detail. But they were drinking long drink because Miles was a partner now. And so they became friends and they wanted to get involved. And then Kygo and his manager, whose name is also Miles, introduced the product to Ricky Fowler, who was like, this is great. And then he got involved. So you just go piece by piece. And then even Ricky Fowler was posted it on Instagram on a story. And Ken Block, and we're sad that the world lost Ken Block. What an amazing guy! But Ken Block was a big fan of long drink from Finland, and so he became an investor. He and his wife did, Lucy, in the U.S. So there's all these really cool stories of it's not us pitching them; it's folks just finding the product, becoming a fan, and wanting to be a part of it.
It's amazing how much organic growth this has seen, and the word of mouth, and people finding it organically, like Miles finding it organically. Like, that is such a powerful tool for a brand, because that's a rare thing to find.
I can take no credit for it. It's just a liquid. For anybody that's listening, you go to longdrink.com. You can type in the zip code. Hopefully it's somewhere close to you. We're working on it. If not, we're sorry. But the liquid really is it. You got to give it to the Finns. That they made something that's pretty unique.
Do you think it's helping that it's just called long drink?
I think so. Yeah, I think so, because it's Finnish long drink. People just call it long drink. Eventually, others will launch their own long drinks, I'm sure. Yeah. Luckily, we trademarked Finnish long drink, so they can't call it Finnish long drink.
That is crazy.
But I think, look, it's super early days, and you guys cover a lot of category. Yeah. It's always like cool and slow and steady. Then all of a sudden, if you get lucky and you do it right, then there's that kind of an inflection point where it goes everywhere.
Oh,
so yeah. we're hoping we can do that.
Do you think that the ranch water craze helped your business?
From a consumer standpoint, I don't know if it mattered because it's such a different taste profile and experience.
Yeah.
But I do think the proliferation of more categories is helpful.
Right.
Because it makes people realize, it doesn't have to I can try something new, offer something new to my customers, and they're interested in learning about that.
Yeah, it exposed the consumer to that sort of style of brand, so that when they're going in to maybe buy a Cutwater or something in a similar space, that they'd be more willing to try your product as well. That knowing that it's probably, just because it's in a can doesn't mean it's not good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, felt like that was kind of true 10 years ago.
Yeah. This made me think about how Nate and I have been talking a lot about the beer category and how there's kind of this new like craft beer era, or I would say actually anti-craft beer era that's happening right now, where craft beer was everything, and now people are trying to, I would almost say, like genericize, like look at garage beer, for example, really try and make these more like standardized Apple looking, Apple logo looking beer brands instead. So I'm curious what you think is going to be the next like era of RTD, if it's analogous to that of the anti-craft beer era, or maybe not.
It's a really good question. The one thing I have high conviction on, I'm not sure it's about just RTDs, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it too. You spend so much time studying this. I sort of feel like there's just going to be a lot of pushback to innovation for innovation's sake. I think a lot of folks are trying to go for the quick hit of the benefit of sales today at the expense of a relationship with their customer. I'm kind of like mourning the fact that I'm not in this industry at a time where like brand was king. I look at like the brands our parents got to grow up with, and like they had such terrific advertising, such terrific stories and characters that were involved in these advertisements. You look at the advertisements from like the 90s and the 80s, and it's like wow, like oh my gosh, like these are really cool. And then you look at like advertisements, everything's like millennial beige, and you're like, oh, okay. I kind of wish we could get back to that. I think Long Drinks tried to do that. We luckily have that story, but I kind of think that there's just gonna be a big pushback to like anything that's corpo slop. You know, there's AS slop, there's corpo slop, and people gravitate towards something that has something there.
I love that. Yeah. I completely agree. I was listening to another podcast you were on where you were saying that Long Drink is a brand that will never have a pumpkin spice flavor, and that is shorthand.
That hurts my heart personally. Pumpkin spice flavor.
Love that. But that's kind of shorthand for the fact that what you're just saying, that like flavor alone or isn't innovation to you, or innovation for innovation's sake isn't innovation. So what is innovation for Long Drink then? Because if once you reach full market penetration, everyone knows what Long Drink is, you have customers who are going back to the drink, what's next?
Well, for 95% of people who've never heard of what Long Drink, what's next is hearing about us. So they don't even need new, they just need to hear about us. And I'm always trumpeting that over and over and over with my co-founders to our partners of like, if you know about us, we do need to keep you excited. But if you never heard of us, it's just making you know about us in the first place. So that's what's next, is scaling marketing, scaling availability. For our fans, what we're really inspired by is creating experiences with Long Drink, like on premise, and having like really cool moments. Like there's a program going on that we did last year, I guess it's continued this year, where there's like QR codes in states where it's allowed, which is many states, where you can scan a QR code and we'll give you like $5 back per can or $10 back per bucket. And it's like a drink on miles teller, right? So it's like a really fun experience. It's kind of a give back, and it's also great marketing. The pack sizing we think is interesting. So we launched, when the federal law changed last year, we could build tall boys, the 19.2 ounces. We launched those, which have been really cool.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's super fun. I think we didn't expect how many 8.5% Long Drinks we'd sell, because Long Drink has three main SKUs. There's the traditional flavor, citrus. There's a zero sugar version. So that's like Coke and Diet Coke, and then we have an 8.5%. The first two are like 5-ish%. So these are coming to tall boys. You've got a tall boy of 8.5%. Like that's a lot, but people seem to like it, and it's really crisp. It doesn't feel that heavy. So I think sizing matters. We'll do more of that. We launched 12 packs. We're making a huge amount of our volume now. We might even do some more. We have 18 packs in some areas now, like club and some big retailers. So I think that matters. But we're going to keep going back to just how can we continue to drive that awareness and interest. And I think like a lot of it will be cool, like cool social moments. Like we'll do giveaways and merch. We've done cool things in the past where like Ricky Fowler did a post once that every single person who tagged him drinking a Long Drink got free merch. It wasn't like you got entered, like everybody. So it could have been like a million. It wasn't a million, but that's a cool give back to. We're actually talking about doing more of that soon. So
yeah, you got to get Long Drink in the next Top Gun movie. That's the real end goal.
Also, when you launch a tall boy, it should be called Longer Drink. I'm sure someone's thought of that before. First
of all, you're right. And, luckily, our marketing team they're going to be watching. Like we did that. So there was some good social posts about it, and I think they're looking at some more marketing. But it is funny that way too often people make the joke of, because for the listeners that don't know, like Long Drink isn't traditional 12-ounce style beer can. So there's some irony that it's not in a more slimline White Claw style can. So people are always like, why did you call it Long Drink and make it a short can? So finally, we now have a longer can in the 19.2 ounce.
Love that. It's definitely an interesting way to look at innovation, where it comes more from the marketing end than the product end. I am curious though, if you may at some point do some kind of product innovation that has more to do with collaboration. Is there a brand that you're a big fan of that you would want to collaborate with one day?
I think we're definitely into collaborations, but it kind of goes back to like, I expect more of them in the future as we drive more availability. Like right now it's just like block and tackle and make it to where when I walk in I can find it. And That's the main driver of this year. But I think as we get into next year, we do want to line up kind of a series of more collaborations we can do. And this, but also in the hockey space, like we've really leaned into hockey recently. People in hockey actually know what Finland is. Americans, like, our geography is not so great, sadly. So we're leaning into hockey. We launched in Canada also with a partner up there, so it's pretty widely available in Canada. But the hockey space, like, pretty underappreciated compared to like golf or football or whatever. But the fans are insane at hockey, and so in a good way. And so we're trying to do more there. So I think the collaborations in that space are going to go through the roof.
There's also going to be a lot more hockey fans. If Heated Rivalry has another season, you're going to be golden. This is not related to long drink, but I'm curious, like, what are some of your favorite brands? Like, not that you'd collab with, just what are you enjoying right now in the CPG world?
I think Taco Bell is amazing. Like, that brand has been around for more than all of us have been alive. And they continue every year to both keep their core for their core customers, but do innovation that's LTOs and things like that make you pay attention, and people talk about it. Like I'm consistently impressed by them, and they also have challenges, right? So that's a brand that I think always has inspired me. While others have come and gone, they've stuck it out. I don't know if you guys stuck to Brian at Banza, but I think Banza the protein. I think that they've done a really great job, and it goes back to, again, like they've stayed very focused, and that brand's probably 8 or 9 years old. Also, lots have come and gone. They've done a great job there too. And also something that they've done that's really inspiring to me is like they really went for mainstream America. They didn't try to just be niche in like Brooklyn or West Hollywood, and so that impressed with. There's a lot more out there, but those are ones that are really interesting.
Yeah, I think Bands is a really good one, and I think something that we see a lot with a lot of the brands that we talk to is like that focus on national, but also I like what they did, and I always find, like, if I have to give advice to brands, if I have to give like one thing, it's like if you're launching something, have it be slightly novel and mostly familiar. That is like the thing I'll repeat all the time if you really want to do something different. But a lot of consumers like don't want anything crazy, to your point, to what we were talking about earlier. Like long drink is really simple and accessible, and it's fun. It's slightly new. It's slightly different. You know what you're going to get in a good way. And it makes it easier also if you're ultimately focusing on a mass market national appeal for that brand. Yeah,
I think, yes. And I can't say that we're smarter about this. I think we just took the inspiration from Finland, where it is everywhere. So we never thought about it being niche or just for a certain group. Like we always were, how do we win these mass market audiences? And again, not saying it has to be Walmart, but consumer that goes to, Walmart has all types of consumers, right? Like how do you win that type of audience, which is very different than just a niche retailer that's in one area of the country. So I think that matters a lot. And I think if brands really want to get there, they have to think that way. They have to get outside their comfort zone. And frankly, I look at a lot of brands. New York's a huge CPG capital, obviously. I think a lot of times that people need to get out into the market and be like, what's going on in St. Louis? What's going on in Chicago? What's going on in Dallas? By the way, those are 3 separate places. Like you can't just call it the flyover states and be like, oh, that doesn't matter, because these are very unique. Like Indiana and Kentucky are different. Yeah. But also at the same time, like I challenge a lot of my friends, especially that are younger and newer to the space. They're like, oh, we want to go international. I'm like, dude, do you know Illinois has $1 trillion GDP? Like, why don't you go focus on winning Illinois before you go to France, right? Like, there's plenty of things to do here and go deeper instead of just trying to go wider. It might be probably more boring in some ways because, like, we're having to do the boring work right now. Like, we've got the brand out, we've got a lot of cool partners, and we're having to do the legwork of getting this into convenience stores, making sure when it gets in, it's in the right spot, getting the right pricing on the shelf. That's a non-sexy, honest truth of what brands that really win do. I'm sure at Coca-Cola, that's probably what they're obsessed over every day, or Red Bull. Oh my God. I should have said that. Like how like they have stood the test of time, and like its merchandising team, like they need to win like an Olympic gold medal. It's so good.
It's everywhere. It's still everywhere, and like I don't know people who drink it, but it's still everywhere, and they're still coming out with new flavors and like.
Yeah, Monster Energy is another great example. Like their stock return is apparently better in the past 20 years than Nvidia. And like you walk into any gas station, what do you see? There's a wall of Monster Energy. I'm sure they're just in a room laser focused on continuing to win that. And it's not always the funnest thing to do, but that is the thing, and we have to do that thing right now.
Yeah. Well, Evan, thank you for joining us. This was so much fun. I think we learned a lot. I learned a lot.
Absolutely.
Now I want to find one of those tall boys.
Any more on New York, I'll tell you that for sure. I think there's some at either Grand Central or Penn Station, one of the grab and goes. But it should be everywhere.
Yeah, it should be. It should be in every bodega. I should have more in my fridge. The liquor store up the street. Sure.
Yeah. Uber Eats at least has it. Guys, thanks so much for having me. I really enjoy a lot of the work you guys do and think it's cool. And I think it's important for the community too. Like CPG is really awesome. We need more people like leaning into like showing that it can be something that people should spend their time on.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout out anything where people can find you, or?
Longdrink.com.
Beautiful.
Google it, it's going to come up, put in your zip code, and it's going to tell you the closest places that sell it and what versions we have there.
Amazing.
And once you try it, you'll quickly become a DJ, a long drink lover for life.
Probably true.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Well, thank you.